Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're back here with another episode, another DST review of Monday Night Raw, and I was as disappointed as most of you people. You know, the more they change, the more they stay. You know what? We're still quarantined. It's still on lockdown. Somehow WWE thinks they're an essential business to have at this time, where almost any other wrestling company is either doing this in a secluded area, shutting down for a bit, or just something else. Because it's just dumb. It's just dumb. There's no essential reason to. Oh my God, WWE! What the hell? Okay. Alright, fine. Let's not drag that off this much. We had Drew McIntyre finally come out to address what was he gonna do as WWE champion. It obviously was gonna be the basic speech. I'm going to be a fighting champion. Until Andrade cut that off quick with Zelina Vega. And Zelina Vega, pretty okay in the promo, but she had a better promo backstage when she was interviewing Charlie. When she had Andrade's name wrong, and practically it ended off with her Charlie mispronouncing Andrade's name, saying you only had one WrestleMania moment, and she's like, "What can I understand?" She's doing her job to make Andrade feel like a big deal. That's understandable. That's a manager's job. But you know, Andrade had only 3 title defenses in the last 4 months or 5 months. He beat Rey Mysterio like late December. He's been holding on to the U.S. title for the last several months, and he's barely had a number of notable title defenses other than a few times he defended it against Humberto Carrillo, and that was practically it. And then a ladder match with Rey Mysterio, like that was pathetic. And he had a dumbass suspension. I get doing a champions versus champion match. I understand to make both these guys feel like a big deal, but Jesus Christ, it was such a it was just a dumb promo, especially logically. Andrade hasn't been on TV for the last couple weeks. He should have been stripped of the title. Could have went to any other consistent mid-carder or somebody the fans actually like, but we can't tell what the fans like thinks there's no crowd. And then it was scheduled for Andrade. They brung up other shit when he was NXT champion and stuff like that, so they can have because they don't know how to do legitimate storylines involving like these guys in the company. But thanks, like NXT means you have the basis to make a real storyline because almost the entire fan base watches NXT. I guess we have a legitimate reason why they should fight, other than I'm a champion, you're a champion. Let's see who's the better champion. Basic thing to do. I don't know why. Andrade keeps looking like a pulsating Hispanic that spits out oil every time next to Angel Garza. That these guys never feel like fucking drying their hair for any day. Then they just awkwardly kept attacking regular mid-carders. It came from attacking guys like Akira Tozawa. Fine. He's on the roster. Then a random jobber. And then they keep just celebrating up like, what was the point of doing that? They already have a career low on ratings. We have these 3 weird mid-carders. Angel Garza that only been here for under a minute. We have Andrade that's barely been on TV. And we have Angel Garza, a guy that's spent under a month in the roster. And now they're making some kind of weird faction. I mean, I'm all for the faction, but oh my God, it's better than the OSC at this moment because at least they're trying to obtain dominance, and these are guys that we haven't been seeing for a while. So the main event was a champions versus champions match, not for the title, obviously not for the both titles because that would obviously end in a DQ for the main event. So it was obvious who were they trying to get to be legitimate. Next up would be Ruby Riott against Asuka from one of the 3 Money in the Bank qualifying matches. So I guess they're gonna do a 6-person Money in the Bank ladder match. So probably SmackDown's gonna do 3 representative. uh, yeah, they're gonna have 3 representatives for both brands. So Asuka had Ruby Riott in a sloppy match, and then it was like also for most of the time you can still say Ruby was not ready for Asuka. But for a majority of the last several months, it was just you spewing out Japanese. What the hell? it obviously makes no sense. It made no promo, made no interest unless anybody else would explain what kind of feud they're in. So why in the hell now Asuka's speaking a bit of English to show that she's a threatening force? That makes no sense. The match was as long as any other qualifying match. Shayna Baszler ended off ref stoppage, and Nia Jax just was a squash match against Kairi Sane. This was dumb. Other than to make one person look either legitimate. Yet the Ruby Riott and Asuka match had at least two commercial breaks for a regular scheduled match. There was a German suplex, a few stops to get out of the Asuka lock until she got caught up after a strike. Ruby Riott, I think, did a running elbow. Oh my god, the match was just man, especially for Asuka standards, because she's, as much as I question most of her talking ability, she's one of the better women's rosters and one of the more attractive females on the roster. So obviously, I, I'm never going to like disrespect Asuka's freaking wrestling ability. I would like if she brought back the Green Mist though. It's a basic heelish maneuver. I'm not saying that she's the female Tajiri, but it has to work to get some heat. It ended up off of the Asuka lock to end off the match that was pretty close, especially for somebody like Ruby Riott that came off facing off against Liv Morgan at kind of a jobber faction. So I don't know why this match took it as long as it did. So yeah, next up was Oney Lorcan versus Aleister Black 1-on-1. After having a over several minute match with Apollo Crews that somehow did not show up, other than for MVP to reference that he has to face off against him at what's with the unimportant qualifying matches? Then you have fucking Shayna Baszler getting pissed off and walking out after stomping on Sarah Logan's hand. I thought, oh, there's a huge mistake. Well, ref stoppage, or they're gonna make her look strong and then make it end off ref stoppage after breaking her fucking arm. To probably take her out of TV because I don't like seeing Sarah Logan. She's an obvious jobber. She is irrelevant thanks to the jobbing out to Charlotte Flair and being part of the Riot Squad. So no one cares about that. And now we have Oney Lorcan from NXT 205 Live, and someone's bringing up like he's a huge commodity. What happened to Leo Rush? Wasn't he one of the more impressive cruiserweights? And he's a pretty athletic dude. He used to be the mouthpiece of of Bobby Lashley. And now we have Oney Lorcan. At least Aleister Black isn't given a black jobber. And everything was going fine. There was European uppercuts off of Oney Lorcan. He was holding his ground. I think there was a great bridge into a German suplex he had. It was ending up to be an okay match until Aleister Black had a bicycle knee to the face. Then it ended up. I think he caught on with a with a springboard moonsault. You know, the basic arsenal of that Aleister Black match, and then it ended off with a black mask. So you have these guys. So you have a guy like Oney Lorcan that actually built a name for himself, and you have a guy like Apollo Crews, since being on the main roster did nothing but had a 20-minute something match with fucking Aleister Black, and then you have him face a legitimate guy like MVP. Why are we now trying to make Apollo Crews feel legit over all these years? And he hasn't done anything important. He hasn't even been part of an important feud since first being here, like he feuded with Sheamus. Are you serious? Next up, Akira Tozawa versus Austin Theory. And by the way, just so we establish, we know that Shayna Baszler's in the Money in the Bank ladder match after being shown by ref stoppage not to win it. And then the commentator said to clear it up. Look, guys, she's actually in the match. She's actually in the match, guys. Oh my god. Yes. And then it ended up with Austin Fury using just a TKO. Let's just say TKO. I don't care about the finishing name move. I don't know nothing about Austin Fury other than he has a good look. He has a pretty good look for a new guy on the roster. Looks well built. He had a quick match with Akira Tozawa that Tozawa only got some front sentons on. He did a running senton off the apron. I think it ended up with a pop-up TKO because Akira Tozawa was a midget. Just just to have that first squash match. Then we had Tahiti Miles against some jobber. He's just a jobber against Angel Garza. Angel Garza took it away with like a few strikes, kept beating him up over the ring. He said something in Hispanic. I had to ask one of my friends to translate what he said because I'm lazy. And then he hit up the wing clipper. And then they did the same thing they did to Akira Tozawa. They jumped him. So what was the point? Other than to probably think that they're a faction now, it's pretty dumb and it's pretty rushed. Especially doing that in one night. I understand it was a 3-hour show, but why in the fuck would you do these attacks out of nowhere? You came from attacking Akira Tozawa, then you attack a jobber, and then you don't do the same thing. Well, he sort of did after Austin Theory took out the knee. I know, I think it was Garza that took out the knee of Drew McIntyre after the match, and it ended up with Seth Rollins taking 2 curb stomps to Drew McIntyre, issuing that they're gonna probably have a match at Money in the Bank for the WWE Championship. That I guess is a good change of pace after, Seth Rollins kept complaining that he lost to Kevin Owens. I lost to somebody fat. I've lost to somebody fat. I understand that, and he didn't have his followers. We'll see Buddy Murphy like next week, and we get to see Authors of Pain probably later in the future. They said probably they're not coming because of the pandemic reasons. Sorry to say that, but it's a. I'm not saying the actual word. I'm just saying that it's a huge global issue. That I guess they're not coming because we haven't seen most of the Raw roster for quite a while. Next up, we had Kyrie Sane against Nia Jax for qualifying for the Money in the Bank ladder match, and obviously, uh, Jesus fucking Christ, no one cares. It just ended off a basic squash match, just to show that Nia Jax is back to beating up midgets, but when she gets a title match, it's gonna be underwhelming as hell. It ends up with her pushing off Kyrie Sane, clotheslining her, tossing her around the ring, and this is supposed to make her feel legit. It ended up with some pop-up Samoan drop. It was just a Samoan drop. It's not that impressive as because she hasn't done anything impressive at all. Hopefully she didn't legitimately injure Kyrie Sane this time. Or hopefully anybody else when it comes to the Money in the Bank ladder match that I'm truly concerned about. Because I know that the first thing's gonna happen when she gets really exhausted as soon as she takes her first step. So Nia Jax will be qualifying, so will Shayna Baszler, and so will Asuka. There was also an VIP lounge that went over most of the male competitors next week on Raw to see who will be competing for Money in the Bank qualifiers. So, yeah, I was really excited. MVP against Apollo Crews. I was just lack of thinking he has somebody in it. I don't care, bro. I don't care. There was also Becky Lynch going over who she's excited. She will wait patiently who she will face for the women's championship. And we thought it would be a rematch with Shayna Baszler, right? Like show how threatening Shayna Baszler is, but you put her in another gimmick match that's obviously going to be in her strengths. Like she's gonna use ladders to put them in submissions and shit. Other than that, I thought like we were supposed to treat Shayna like she's going to be the next big deal because you make her build up as this cage fighter that literally has all the advantages in the world. She came around beating the shit out of Becky Lynch, clearing out the elimination chamber full of the Raw women's roster, and then you give her a qualifying match for a Money in the Bank ladder match. And then we have Becky Lynch just coming around like it's in your terms that you're in a Money in the Bank ladder match. I mean, whenever somebody wins the Money in the Bank, like it's obvious that they're gonna schedule a match. No, bitch, the Money in the Bank ladder match. I mean, the Money in the Bank briefcase could be cashed in whenever they want. Becky, that's how it works. I don't know why she kept bringing it on. Like, I understand that she's a basic babyface. She keeps questioning herself and all this crap. It's so dumb. It's so corny. And she's the longest reigning Raw Women's Champion. It's so dumb. It's so corny. It's so basic. It's not that creative. And since she's been champion, nothing about her demeanor changed other than she feels like she's. And over majority of this, I've been just wondering why WWE can't make a title feel prestigious. So we had Charlotte become over 10-time women's champion, winning several Raw Women and SmackDown Women's Championships, being now a two-time Women's Champion, but winning NXT Women's Champion, but winning her second one at WrestleMania. And none of this feels important. Becky Lynch and Bayley are in long-running, record-breaking women's championships, and they still face off against the same jobber, uncreative, uninspired, boring, uncharismatic piles of garbage. And yet they still think like they're pulling off the most money. And then we have Charlotte doing some generic all bow down to the queen promo, but it's involving NXT. And it's like, who in the fuck? Like, what kind of kid's gonna get excited to watch something from NXT when they hear about Charlotte Flair and just to know that it's a developmental program? I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. They keep just selling this short, and this is supposed to be one of the more groundbreaking parts of this women's division, and yet nobody's still watching it because of these reasons. So after that squash match, we had Noe Jose versus Bobby Lashley, with it seems to be some momentum like dying down from Lashley's matches to his relationship with Lana. Obviously, they're going to diminish it short because over the last 4 or 5 months, he's been feuding with Rusev. We still don't know if he's even going to return back to the company because I think his contract was supposed to expire this year. With him technically in vacation, I guess. It ended up with Bobby Lashley having a basic squash match with Noe Jose. I don't know why Noe Jose. He was coming close after a roll up from a dispute with Lana and Lashley until Lashley ended up hitting him with the spear after a clothesline. The match was basic squash. Uh, oh my god. I don't know why this existed other than to just show. Like, Noe Jose is just there. Jesus Christ. And second of all, why is Lashley just having this thing now? He's been teasing this since last week that he's been trying to end his relationship with Lana immediately. Lashley just keeps looking like a milk dud with muscles, and it just scares me that this Black Larry the Lobster has now been thinking about ending things with Lana, even though all she does is just scream. Lana isn't like how she was back in 2014 to 15 when she was actually treated like a legitimate manager that was hot, Russian, strict, and you would want to have sex with. Now she looks like a bad one night stand you guys had that you had in LA one time, and now Lana is just there. She didn't have that much of a character than she did when she was managing Rusev back then. But back then Rusev was unbeatable in the mid card scene. He was actually treated like a legitimate wrestler, and even guys that were hating WWE's show, they didn't mind Rusev because he actually looked like an ass kicker. So I don't know why this couldn't work before. Next up, we had the Viking Raiders face off against Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. Borderline the best match of the show. It was the best match of the show. It was fast paced, Inzaguri into a running drop kick. I think there was a counter into Eric's Eric's takedown into a knee strike countered into a reversed into Ricochet literally running on top of Eric so he can stop the knee strike until later on in the match. Kick into the face. He kept shouting like, "Sorry, man, I'll take this one." Until he did a running shooting star press into Ivar. Ivar did a toe paste suicida on both guys. The match ended with a catch on by Cedric Alexander. Then they did a Viking Experience. One of the fast paced and the best matches in the show, in my opinion. It was a good match. It was a good fast paced match, but you had Ricochet and Cedric Alexander treated as this weird team. Obviously, still threatening him. Ricochet still threatening Cedric Alexander via sexual assault for obvious reasons. If you haven't seen the leaked photos, I envy you. I envy you. But the match was okay. I guess they're trying to build up Ricochet as a tag team wrestler. That I think is good for a guy that lost momentum for the last couple months. Because he came from feuding with AJ Styles for the U.S. title. Good start, right? Then he got a number one contender shot for the WWE title, even though people wanted Lashley or Rollins to face off against Brock Lesnar. But it was Ricochet, I guess, because I think they were trusting him. And then he came jobbing out to Riddick Moss. Then we see him having these weird squash matches. Like Ricochet really lost traction after losing the WWE Championship match. And now he's talking with Cedric Alexander, that I guess is a step in the right direction. Because what's the best thing if the guy's not selling out in the mid card? Bring him to a tag team at least. Try to build up that tag division because you have the Street Profits, the OC, the Viking Raiders. Now, I guess on I guess because Andrade's back, Garza and Theory are now a tag team, and now Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. The match was okay though. Next up was the main event of the evening, over a two-year two-year rivalry that now has been reborn for a match on Raw for the main event. The United States Champion Andrade faces up against the WWE Championship, Drew McIntyre. And the match would end up as quick as you think. There were the fake kick into the elbow that always catches somebody, but is a cool move to see. Headlock after headlock. McIntyre going over saying, "Oh, don't worry, control her, control her," just showing like the best character. Just I like Zelina Vega because she shows so much attitude. For a majority of the night, I felt like Zelina Vega was the only saving grace of the show. Next to the at least the match was short, quick, and it showed both Garza and McIntyre to be legit wrestlers. At least that, but I don't know why Garza deserved to be in the main event, especially if he hasn't been on TV for quite a while. Andrade, I mean. I didn't mean Angel Garza, but still, you get my point. It was a decent match. Front face lock. Uh, Garza and Austin Fury would like be trying to stop off the rope stuff with Drew McIntyre after he was trying to go for something off the ropes until Austin Theory, after catching McIntyre's leg, he got a chop, and it was so funny when the commentators saved it out. That was like the most times you actually said the commentators actually get invested in a wrestling match rather than trying to provide weird segues into a feud that's obviously not catching any traction. Then we see McIntyre, oh my god, going over, selling over that shoulder that wasn't even involved that much into the match. Then a Claymore kick after a kip up from up top from some kind of off the top turnbuckle clothesline, and then it ended up with the Claymore kick. Basic win until Seth Rollins came out of nowhere and attacked Drew McIntyre. So it looks like Seth Rollins will be the next person to compete for the WWE Championship. Basic heel heat involving, I guess, this new faction with Zelina Vega managing all three of these guys, and cool. It was a cool surprise attack from uh Seth Rollins after noticing that He says, I'll stomp out my doubters if you're not a believer. So I guess this was teased out that he probably will be the next program for uh, Drew McIntyre, and I guess it's a good start because who doesn't want to see a match with Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins? I'm joking. It's obviously going to be a nice match, but I don't think that's going to be main event. I guess it will be main eventing the show, the pay per view. So that's technically it. In my opinion, Raw was a 5 out of 10. It was just a mediocre program. I felt like I don't know why all women qualifying matches what happened at all. At least it didn't have fucking ladders in the ring and shit. All the promos were borderline mediocre, basic, and it didn't tell much of a story other than what already happened. Every match was mediocre. The qualifying matches felt like there was nothing to prove at all. The Shayna Baszler match off ended in a ref stoppage. Nia Jax was just a random squash match, especially with a decorated wrestler like Kairi Sane. To Nia Jax that hasn't been on TV for a minute, and they just want to bring her back as the weird monster until she has to know that she has to do a calendar year healthy. And then we have fucking Asuka having a long match with Ruby Riott. It makes no damn sense, in my opinion. The weird assaults, it felt like regurgitated promos off the women's champions felt like so forced, so basic to feel like Becky feels like she's an important champion, and it's not. I haven't felt like there has been wrestlers that made a match or a pay-per-view or a show feel important than Triple H. As much as you guys want to bring up Triple H as, oh, he's buried multiple people, he built up pay-per-views. If you weren't excited for Royal Rumble 2004 after that feud he had with Shawn Michaels, there's something really wrong with you. Triple H knows how to build up stars. He knows how to make them important. He knows how to make promos, and he knows how a promo should work as a build up, as to make 2 stars feel legitimate or 1 star feel legitimate. And that's how it's supposed to work. Becky Lynch doesn't know this. Charlotte Flair doesn't know this. Triple H knows this. And I'm sad that nobody else tries to inherit that kind of promo style or ways to actually make themselves feel unique. None of these people feel like they're bringing prestige to a championship. Thanks, Andrade keeps getting his dumbass suspended or injured. Charlotte just keeps touching Andrade and showing these and having weird breast implants. And Becky Lynch is so bland to see in the ring. I really wanted Shayna Baszler to at least stomp on her arm this time. So that's practically it for my Raw review. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I know this is going to be late overdue. I'm probably going to upload this like Friday or tonight. Don't know. Other than that, I hope you guys liked the review. That's it coming from the DST show. Like, comment, and subscribe. And that'll be it. Goodbye.